Should you use Blender for architecture? My answer is maybe. It really depends on what kind of architectural work you want to do. I've worked as a professional retail and architectural designer for over 10 years. And during that time, I've used SketchUp, V-Ray, Rhino, 3ds Max, and of course Blender. And over the last few years, Blender has replaced SketchUp as my primary software for modeling, texturing, rendering, and presenting design concepts. So in this video, I want to explain where Blender fits into architectural workflows and where it doesn't, and who I think should seriously consider learning it. Architects or architectural designers come in all shapes and sizes. Some architects spend most of their day producing construction documents, coordinating or managing BIM models. Others may spend a lot of time developing concepts, visualizing spaces, testing out finishes, and presenting ideas and renderings to clients. Those are very different tasks and workflows, and naturally they require different softwares. For me, Blender excels at concept design, design development, and architectural visualization. A typical workflow may look like this. You start in AutoCAD, you import CAD drawings to use as reference to construct your model. You can also bring drawings in as images in Blender. You don't have to use CAD, though there are advantages to it, maintaining accurate snaps being one of them. From there, you model the architectural environment. This is the creation of mesh objects or geometry that make up the walls, floors, ceiling, doors, windows, furniture, and fixtures, pretty much everything that's important to representing the physical space. Once the geometry is modeled, you can apply textures. Realistic renderings use PBR or physically based rendering materials, which you can set up using Blender's node system in the shader editor. Once materials are done, you add realistic lighting, position cameras or views, and render images or even walk through animations. And that's not the end of it. You usually review the design with other people and then continue to develop it. Maybe swap out finishes, move walls around, things like that. And once the design is approved, you switch over to production mode, and that happens in Revit or AutoCAD or some other software. This is the workflow that I use professionally, and a lot of it can be done in Blender for free. This is one of Blender's strengths and why I prefer using it. I can model the architecture, create realistic materials, light the scene, animate cameras, and produce final renders all without leaving Blender. The material system is powerful and intimidating, but you can get very nice results with basic node setups. Cycles produces beautiful ray-traced images, Eevee creates fast real-time previews, and tools like the asset browser, various modifiers, and geometry nodes are great options for efficient and complex modeling tasks. It's a lot to learn and they're not perfect, but it's also a lot to learn V-Ray for SketchUp or Grasshopper for Rhino. And then of course there's the price. Blender is completely free. All these other programs have a cost, and more companies are switching to subscriptions, so it's an ongoing cost. You never really own the software. When I was in architecture school, getting access to software licenses was one of the biggest obstacles. Today, anyone can download Blender and create professional quality architectural visualizations without spending anything, and I think that's pretty amazing. Now, I also want to be realistic. Blender is not BIM software. It's not Revit. It's not designed to generate construction documents or coordinate large projects. If your job involves producing permit sets or construction drawings and managing BIM models, you'll probably still want dedicated software like Revit. But that doesn't mean Blender can't be part of that workflow. Blender actually does have a BIM add-on called Bonsai, which I haven't used personally, but I've heard good things about. And many firms build their projects in something like Revit and then export that model into Blender to do materials, lighting, animations, and create presentation quality renderings. And in my opinion, that's where Blender really excels. So who do I think should learn Blender? Anyone and everyone if you just want to do it for fun. But for professional practice, I would recommend Blender broadly for architectural designers, not necessarily production-heavy licensed architects. I'd recommend it for architecture students. You're going to need to learn the basics of 2D and 3D design, modeling, texturing, lighting, rendering, and presenting your designs. And I'd recommend it to interior designers, retail designers, ArchViz and VFX people, and really anyone who wants to communicate architectural ideas through high-quality images and animations. If you're currently using SketchUp primarily for concept modeling and rendering, I think Blender is worth a serious look. For my own workflow, Blender has replaced almost everything I used to do in SketchUp. It's also given me more advanced tools for PBR materials, lighting, rendering, and animation, all in the same program. So should you use Blender for architecture? If your primary goal is BIM production and construction documentation, you won't get a lot of use out of Blender. But if your goal is designing spaces, communicating ideas, creating beautiful presentations, and producing professional level architectural visualizations, I think Blender is one of the best tools out there today. And lucky for you, if you're interested in learning that workflow, I've already created several tutorials covering many of the fundamentals, from learning the basics of the software to lighting, materials, and cameras, as well as some project demonstrations of how to build a house or a retail store. Hopefully those videos can help get you started. Let me know in the comments, do you think Blender should be used for architecture? My name's Andrew, and this is my 3D POV, and thank you for watching.